Night listener, tonight we enter the shadows. The street is slick with rain, its mirror sheen broken only by the hush of your footsteps and the soft orange flicker of a dying street lamp. A breeze sighs against the windows like someone just barely breathing. You check the locks once, twice, again, and then you see it. The front door closed. Yes, but not locked. You remember locking it? You always lock it. It's your last ritual before bed. A flick of the wrist, a satisfying click. It matters. You don't feel safe otherwise. So why? If the story found you, maybe it's because you've been followed too. Your hand drifts to the knob. It's cold. Too cold. The kind of cold that says it's been open longer than it should have. Maybe the lock never turned. Maybe someone wanted you to think you were safe. You step back. So, before we vanish into this mystery, like the video and subscribe only if you can handle the truth buried beneath the lies. Comment your location, where in the world you're listening from, and whether you're more drawn to the truth, the thrill, or the justice. Now, lock your doors, take a deep breath, and follow me into the dark. You were 12 when the secret was made. 29 when you realized it still held power. Tonight, you discover someone else has found it. You sweep the apartment. Nothing's taken, nothing's moved, at least not obviously. But that's how this works, isn't it? The ones who dig into the past don't always need to steal. Sometimes all they want is for you to know they were here. And you do. Because the door wasn't locked last night. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open your bedroom closet. Inside nothing. Not the shoebox you stored behind the coats. The one with the old Polaroids and the broken necklace from that night. It's gone. No signs of forced entry. No broken glass. The shoebox didn't grow legs. The closet's carpet holds a perfect rectangular shadow in the dust. A silence you can see. That's all. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Your phone buzzes. No caller ID, just one message. Still hiding thought. You'd be better at it by now. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You delete the message, then regret it instantly. But it's too late. Like everything else that's slipping back through the cracks. The name you buried. The person you never talked about. The night you pretended didn't happen. You try to focus. You write the date on a yellow sticky note and pin it to the fridge. You underline it twice. You won't forget this. You can't afford to. But deep inside, your gut's already twisting. Because if the lock didn't hold, the secret didn't either. The photograph wasn't in the drawer. You open the drawer like you've done 100 times before. Your fingers hesitate just long enough to expect the worst, and they're not disappointed. The photograph isn't there. It's not just any photograph. It's the photograph. Grainy, overexposed, snapped by accident, or maybe intention, during that one night when everything changed and no one said a word. You've kept it for years, hidden beneath old receipts and expired ID cards. You don't look at it anymore. But now, its absence is screaming. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You rifled through everything again. The top drawer, the bottom one, the back of the shelf. Nothing. It's like it vanished. Or worse, like someone wanted you to know it vanished. Like they wanted to remind you they could still reach into your world whenever they wanted. You sit back, breathe. It's been almost 2 decades since that night. Since the pact. Since the girl with the flashlight said, if we don't tell anyone, it didn't happen. But now someone's telling. And they're doing it silently. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You walk to the window and pull back the curtain. Nothing but rain and headlights in the distance. Still, you feel it again. That unnerving sense of being watched, like whoever took the photo is still nearby, still waiting. You pace the room, you check the lock again, still engaged. But so was it last night, and that didn't stop them. The idea scratches at you like a splinter under skin. A knock, you freeze. No one knocks this late. Not in this neighborhood. Not on a night like this. You hesitate just long enough to make it worse. When you do open the door, there's no one there. Only an envelope, unmarked, damp, smelling of faint smoke. Inside, a new photo. Your living room. Tonight, you, standing at the window. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You stagger back, your heart kicking like it's trying to escape your chest. The photograph falls from your hand and lands face up. In the background of the image, there's a reflection in the glass. Someone behind you, watching. The voice on the voicemail wasn't yours. You stare at the photo, still lying face up on the hardwood. The reflection in the window isn't a trick of the light. It's a shape, human, blurred by glass, but unmistakable. Someone was behind you, but the apartment was empty, wasn't it? You don't remember the sound of footsteps, no creak of floorboards, no breath on the back of your neck. But that's the thing about silence. It hides everything until it's too late. You grab your phone again. Your hands tremble as you tap into the call log. That same unknown number appears. No name, no location. Just voicemail 024 seconds. You press play, and what you hear is wrong. It's your voice. Almost. But it isn't. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It says your name, then something cryptic, half a sentence, a whisper that sounds like it came from under your bed. If the secret dies with you, then you were never worth protecting. Then static, then a chuckle that doesn't belong to you. Something twisted, intimate, familiar. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You don't remember recording it. You wouldn't say those words. At least, you don't think you would. But memory is a tricky thing, especially when guilt's been gnawing at it for years. You stare into the mirror in the hallway. You don't recognize your own face. Not tonight. The same cracked mirror that's been here since you moved in. A cheap antique with a chip in the upper left corner now has another mark, a long, thin crack right down the center, like it's been struck or watched something too terrible to hold in one piece. You walk toward it. Slowly, your reflection does the same. You lean in, study your own eyes, but in the sliver of broken glass, there's something else, a second pair of eyes just over your shoulder. Like the photo, you spin around. Nothing. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, you're not sure whose mind is being played with yours, or someone else's. Or maybe you're not being haunted. Maybe you're being reminded of the night you all swore to forget, of the name none of you were supposed to say, of the person who was left behind and who might have come back. You step away from the mirror. The crack seems deeper now. Or maybe your guilt finally shows. On the floor, the envelope is gone. A familiar key was left behind. It's too late for thinking straight, but your brain won't stop grinding through memories, timelines, and possibilities like teeth in a locked jaw. You reach for your coat, already imagining the cold outside might clear your head. That's when your foot nudges something by the door. A key. You didn't drop a key. You kneel down slowly, pick it up. It's old, brass, the paint worn off the teeth, edges smoothed by time. It shouldn't be here, but it is, and your stomach sinks because you recognize it. It's the key to her cabin, the one in the woods, the one no one's talked about Since the night you swore it was over. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Your fingers tighten around the metal. That cabin was boarded up, buried in dust and denial. You haven't seen it in years. Not since the incident. Not since the screams that didn't echo because no one dared acknowledge them. You glance toward your phone, then back at the door. Your reflection flickers again in the cracked mirror like a ghost rehearsing its entrance. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You remember the pact. 4 of you, bound not by friendship, but necessity. One accident, one cover-up, one secret. Except maybe it wasn't an accident. She told you she was afraid, that someone was following her, that she knew something. You thought she was paranoid, thought she was unraveling. Now, you're not so sure. You remember the night vividly. The cracked flashlight, the slippery rocks, the silence that fell after the scream. You all said it together. She slipped. But did she? The key burns in your hand now, like it's always belonged to you, like it's up begging to unlock more than just a door. You slip it into your coat pocket. There's no decision anymore. You have to go back. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You open the door, and taped to the other side, like a cruel joke, is the missing photo. Except now, there are 4 people in it. The 4th, you swear you buried her, but she's standing there, alive, watching. The cabin wasn't empty anymore. The road out of town twists like a question you've never dared ask out loud. Pines blur past the windshield in jagged silhouettes, their limbs clawing at the sky like they are trying to pull the stars down with them. You haven't been here since the night you left it all behind, left her behind. But secrets don't stay buried. Not in this place. The headlights sweep over the familiar clearing. Gravel crackles beneath your tires. The cabin stands like a bad memory. Someone tried to forget but failed. The porch sags. The windows still cracked where someone threw the lamp. You remember. You all remember. You kill the engine. Silence swells around you, but it's not peaceful. It's waiting. You step out. The key feels heavier now, like it's carrying the weight of that night all over again. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The front door opens easier than you expected. No creak, no resistance, as if it had been waiting for you, too. Inside, the air is thick. Dust hangs like smoke, but there's something else warmth. Someone's been here. The hearth glows faintly, cold still alive beneath a new layer of ash. The smell of something burned, not wood paper. You take a step in, and the floorboards betray you. One groans sharply. That's when you see it. A glove, resting perfectly on the edge of the table. One you'd recognize anywhere. It was hers, the one she wore that night. The night her fingers bled trying to hold onto the rocks. The night you all said, "It's too late." Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You reach out and lift it. Inside, tucked into the palm like a sick riddle, is a note. One word, liar. You drop it. Your breath's caught halfway between past and present. A photograph flutters from the rafters. Another copy of the same photo, but this one has been altered. Your face has been crossed out. It was never about the truth. It was about control. A slow creak upstairs. Not the wind. Not the house settling. A deliberate step. Someone's here. You whisper the question like it'll protect you. Who? But you already know the answer. What if you've been the suspect all along? A name you never spoke aloud. You freeze at the bottom of the stairs, hand still trembling from the glove. That slow, deliberate step above is followed by another, then silence. You don't call out. You don't breathe too loudly. If you do, whatever's up there might answer. Instead, your eyes scan the cabin. Same scratched floorboards, same clock on the mantel still ticking, still stuck at 3:12, the time of her accident. You all agreed to that. A time no one would ever forget or forgive. You listen harder. Nothing now. Just the tick, tick, tick of that broken clock echoing like guilt in your chest. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You moved to the stairwell, gripping the railing like you need to tether yourself to something real. Halfway up, you pause, there, carved into the wood with a knife, letters you know weren't there before. Say her name. You do, quietly, like you're afraid of what might answer. Elena. And just like that, the temperature drops. The bulb in the upstairs hallway flickers. Shadows stretch. Something in the air tenses, like it's been waiting for years to hear you say it. You reach the top step. There's only one room left, her room. The door's cracked open. Light pulses from inside, warm, flickering. Candlelight. You push the door. The bed's made. The desk is cleared. The walls are covered. Photos, newspaper clippings, red string, pins, a map of the town, all connected to one thing: you. Every case you worked, every file you buried, every lie you told yourself to sleep, a twisted shrine of surveillance and suspicion. And at the center of the corkboard, pinned with a rusty nail, is your old police badge. Below it, a burned note. You all lied, but you led them. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. There's no one in the room, just her absence pressing against the walls. But then you hear it again, a breath, not yours, behind you. You spin around, and the hallway is empty. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You stumble back. Your elbow hits the dresser, knocking something to the floor. A key. Not just any key. Your house key. You left it at home this morning, but somehow it got here first. What if someone else has your memories? What if the only person left who knows what happened isn't you? The fire didn't burn everything. You stand frozen, staring at the key on the floor like it's breathing. Your own house key. Cold, familiar, impossible. You never gave it to anyone, never lost it. So how is it here? You reach down slowly, fingers trembling as they graze the metal. It's real, solid, but wrong in your palm, like it doesn't belong to you anymore, like you've been replaced in your own story. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The whisper isn't out loud, but it hums beneath your skin. You pocket the key and back away, out of the room, back down the stairs, retracing steps like you can undo this by walking backward. But the house feels tighter now, like it's watching, like it's remembering too. As you pass the fireplace, something crackles in the ash. You pause. There's something under the burnt paper, a shape not quite destroyed. You grab the poker and sift through the gray mess until a sliver of red glints. Leather, melted at the edges. You pull it free. A small red journal. Elena's. You haven't seen it since the night of the fire. You all swore it was gone, that the pages burned before anyone could read them. But here it is. You open it. The writings warped by heat and water. Some words smeared, but others leap out sharp and clear. They're planning to pin it on him. They said he wouldn't survive a trial. He doesn't remember what happened that night, but I do. They think I'm the problem, but I'm the proof. You flip further. One page isn't written on, it's carved, etched so deep the paper's torn. He'll come back. They always come back. Your name is underneath. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The sound of a phone buzzing jerks you upright. You don't have cell service out here, or a phone on you, but it's coming from behind the wall. You push aside a bookshelf. Behind it, bare wood panels. One is ajar. Inside, a small hollow, a burner phone, buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. You answer. Nothing. Just breathing. Then, why do you take the photograph? And the line cuts. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You turn around, expecting a face, but you're still alone. A light flickers. The cabin's electricity isn't connected. You drop the phone. What if this was never about finding the truth, but making you doubt it ever existed? What if she remembered everything, but only gave you just enough to destroy yourself? Someone replaced the photograph. You're already moving before your mind catches up, following instinct through the creaking floorboards and out the front door. The phone still buzzes behind you on the cabin floor, like a dying insect trapped in a jar. The air outside is colder now, the fog thicker. It clings to your face like a wet mask. You head straight for the jeep but freeze. The driver's side door is open. You never leave it open. There's no one inside, but something's been placed on the passenger seat. You inch closer, hand hovering at your waist where your service weapon used to be. It's not there. You gave it up years ago. Inside the jeep is a photograph. Your stomach turns. Not just any photo. The photo, the one you buried with her file. The one you swore never existed. Except now it's different. You lift it gently. In the original photo, Elena was laughing, surrounded by friends. Someone snapped it at the lake party. She looked alive, safe. This one, she's not smiling. She's staring at you, eyes focused, wide, accusing. And in the corner of the photo, someone's finger, pointing, right at the camera, right at you. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The handwriting on the back hasn't changed. Do you still remember the part you played? But there's something new, faint, written in a different pen beneath it. Or did someone help you forget? Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You grip the wheel, but your hands shake too hard to start the engine. Then you notice something else. A glove compartment cracked open. You reach in. A cassette tape. You haven't seen one of these in years, but it's labeled. Of course it is. Confession. Your breath catches. No one confessed. Not officially. Not in writing. Not in court. You told yourself that for years, but maybe someone did. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You slam the door shut and run back to the cabin. If there's a tape, maybe there's a player. Maybe this whole thing is a loop someone's forcing you to hear again. Inside, the lights flicker on by themselves. You don't question it. You just find the old stereo in the closet dusty, half dead, but functional. The kind Elena used to play her tapes on while sketching the lake. You slide the cassette in, press play, silence. Then, a voice, yours. I didn't mean for it to go that far. But when she found the key, click, the tape stops. You hit play again. Nothing. What if someone edited it? What if the real tape isn't this one? What if your voice has been borrowed, bent into a story that they want to believe? And what if that story ends with you behind bars? Or worse, in her place, the lake still remembers everything. You stand frozen, the hiss of the static pressing in on your skull like an old memory resurfacing too fast. You eject the tape, your fingerprints slick with sweat, and stare at the reels spinning to a stop silent. Damning. The fire in the hearth crackles once, then dies. No wind, no draft, just gone. You're alone, but the cabin feels occupied. Not by her, not exactly. but by something she left behind. A feeling, a tension, like someone watching with eyes that don't blink. You pocket the tape. It's not the only answer, but it's enough to force the next step, the lake. You told yourself you'd never go back to the dock. That was the deal. That's where everything ended, or should have ended. You drive with the windows up, like you can seal out the past if you press hard enough on the glass. But the deeper you go into the forest, the louder your memories get. You remember the water, still, dark, unyielding, and the scream, not hers, yours, when you saw the surface break, not with her body, but with the truth. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The jeep's tires crunch on gravel, the last curve before the lake opening up in front of you like a wound. It looks exactly the same. Still, too still. You walk to the dock. It groans under your weight, each plank like a pressure point. The moonlight paints the lake silver, but the depths remain ink black. You kneel at the edge and dip your fingers into the water. It's warm, too warm. The water shouldn't remember anything, but it feels like it does. That's when you spot it. A shape, floating, half submerged near the old canoe. A bag. You wade in before thinking, before logic can stop you. You drag it to shore. Wet canvas, zipper rusted. You pull it open and clothes, Elena's clothes, the hoodie, the red scarf, the one she wore that night. But that's not what freezes you. It's the photo. Again, only now her face has been scratched out, violently, deep gouges through the paper. Only one part is left untouched, your face, circled, in red. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You look up. Someone's standing on the dock, watching. Then they turn and disappear. You don't chase them. Not yet. Because next to the photo, inside the soaked bag, is a single Polaroid fresh. A picture of you kneeling by the lake, taken just seconds ago. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone has it now. The map wasn't meant for you. You dry the photo with the cuff of your sleeve, but the ink smears anyway, your face bleeding into the trees behind you. A warped reflection of what you've become, or maybe what you always were. The zip-top bag contains one more object, folded into a perfect square, a map, old, hand-drawn, and on it, a red X that doesn't match any known trail. But you recognize the terrain. It's not just a map, it's a memory. You knew this place as a kid, before the secrets, before the body, before you lied to everyone, including yourself. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The sky's darker now, that blue-black velvet smothering the stars, but you feel the pull. The map has weight, like it's inked in something heavier than graphite, something binding. You hike in silence, footsteps deliberate, heartbeat erratic. The flashlight cuts through the forest, but the shadows bend unnaturally, like they're watching, like they know. Each tree you pass has a mark, an old hunting trail maybe, or something older. You try not to think about the shape they make if connected. You try not to think about symbols, cults, graves. But the silence won't let you. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The X leads you to a clearing, one you haven't seen in 15 years. Not since you and Elena swore you'd never talk about what happened there. Except someone did. Someone kept talking long after you went quiet. A lantern hangs from a branch, swaying slightly. It's lit, fresh wax, still dripping, and beneath it, a box, wooden, carved with initials you don't recognize, but feel like you should. The lock is already broken. Inside another glove. Not Eleanor's, yours. Still damp, still blood-stained. And beneath it, a key. You pick it up. A motel tag attached, faded and rusted. Room 6, Whisper Pines. The motel's been closed for a decade. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. A branch snaps behind you. Not a twig, a branch. You spin. The flashlight flickers. Nothing, but someone was there. You can feel it like heat on your neck. What if you've been the suspect all along? The lantern extinguishes suddenly, like breath snuffed it out. And then you hear it, a whisper, just behind your left ear. Wrong turn. Room 6 still had its key. You drive without headlights, not because you're hiding, because the fear doesn't need to see anymore. The whisper. Pines Motel appears out of the fog like a rotting tooth, jagged, yellow lit, dead quiet. The parking lot is empty, no recent tracks, but the key burns in your pocket like a dare. You get out, every footstep sinking into years of wet pine needles. The sign overhead still flickers. No vacancy. A joke. No one's stayed here since the murder. The first murder. Room 6 waits at the far end. Curtains drawn. A single moth tapping its wings against the yellowed glass. You slide the key into the knob. It clicks too easily. The door swings open. Hey, night listener. This isn't the part where you run. This is where you confess. The room is untouched. Almost too untouched. Bed made. Mint on the pillow. A cracked mirror over the dresser stares you down. You stare back, only to realize you're not alone in the reflection. A figure, far corner, sitting in the armchair. You spin around, empty. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You walk slowly to the bathroom door and push it open with your fingertips. No blood, no body, but someone's been here. The faucet's dripping, a bar of soap still wet, the mirror fogged. You reach out. 3 words are written across the glass. Room 7 knows. A chill runs through you. The motel only had 6 rooms, but on the other side of the mirror, there's space. You press your ear to the wall. Nothing. Then something. A shuffle. A click. A voice. You don't get to rewrite the ending. You back away. The key is still tight in your hand. A drawer in the nightstand creaks open by itself. Inside, a second photograph. The same scene as before Elena. The firelight. The cabin. But now there's someone else in frame. You. Only, it wasn't your camera. You never saw anyone take that picture. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You turn it over. Scrawled on the back. You lied to protect her. She lied to punish you. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You sit on the bed, and it groans under your weight, like it remembers everything that's ever happened here. And then you hear the door to room 7 open. But there's no room 7, unless someone made one. What if the secret wasn't in who you were trying to protect, but in who was watching you the entire time? There was never supposed to be a room 7. You step out into the hallway, but there is no hallway. Just the parking lot's soft hum, the neon buzzing like a dying insect. You turn slowly toward where room 6 should end and where nothing else should begin. But there it is now. Room 7. No door, just a blank wall, except it breathes. A draft spills through a sliver in the wood paneling, faint but steady, like something on the other side wants you to notice. You reach forward, brush your fingertips along the crack, and the panel moves, not with force, with invitation. Inside, total black. You shine the flashlight. It flickers, fights, and finally stabilizes, casting long shadows on what looks like a single chair. and a wall of photographs. Hundreds, all tacked unevenly. All of you. Your childhood birthday party. That night at the cabin. The argument at Eleanor's funeral. A blurry shot of you standing over something, maybe someone just out of frame. Somebody's been watching for years. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. There's a noise behind you. You turn fast, heart punching your ribs, but nothing's there. Until you notice the photograph that wasn't there a second ago. It's still warm, freshly developed. You're holding it. You look down. It's a picture of you, standing right here, flashlight in hand, reading a wall of photographs. You drop it. The chair in the center of the room creaks, empty. Then the speaker on the ceiling buzzes, static at first. Then a voice, soft, gravelly, deliberate. You never asked why she lied. You only cared what she lied about. Your name crackles next. And then she remembers now. A handprint smears across the far wall as if dragged from inside the drywall. You back up until you hit something. The chair is no longer empty. A cracked mirror rests in it now, and in its center, a post-it note. Look closer. You hesitate, then lift the mirror. Written behind the glass in bold red ink, the truth was always yours to ruin. You knew, but pretended you didn't. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Your phone buzzes. You haven't had service in hours. It's a text from Eleanor's number. Only one word, run. They were never meant to find the body. You drop the mirror. It doesn't shatter. It sinks, as if the floor beneath the chair no longer obeys gravity, as if this place has rules written in secrets and rewritten in guilt. You back into the doorway, barely breathing. Your phone buzzes again. Same number, same sender. This time, they know where you buried her. You never told anyone. You couldn't. Eleanor made you promise that last night, the storm, the blood on the tiles that wouldn't wash off no matter how hard you scrubbed. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The motel is silent now, except for a ticking, not a clock, not a watch. You follow it to the manager's desk. It's an egg timer, set to 30 minutes, already halfway gone. And beside it, a newspaper clipping pinned with a rusty thumbtack. Unidentified remains found near Hollow Creek. The article's dated yesterday. That's not where you buried her. Or maybe that's exactly where you did. Your memory sways under pressure like a weak floorboard. You retrace your steps, the shovel, the clearing, the promises. No one will ever know. But someone did. Someone watched. The glove from earlier. You check your bag. It's not there anymore. Another clue gone. Another truth swallowed. You exit the office. The air feels thicker, like walking underwater. The trees along the highway seem to lean inward, whispering. You drive. It's muscle memory now. You don't think. You let guilt steer. Hollow Creek isn't even on most maps. But the one in your jacket, the one you found in the woods, it's marked. An X you ignored until now. You pull up just as headlights sweep across the gravel behind you. You're not alone. Not anymore. You grab the flashlight, move toward the tree line. Your boots sink into the soft earth. It hasn't rained, but the ground is wet. You find the spot. There was a marker. It's gone. In its place, a small wooden cross you've never seen before, etched with a single word, liar. The egg timer's ticking echoes in your mind. What if you've been the suspect all along? You hear rustling behind you, too heavy to be an animal, too slow to be a jogger. You turn to run. A hand shoots out from the dark, not to grab you, to give you something. A glove. Your glove. Clean, this time. And inside it, A photograph of you standing here, digging, smiling. It was never about the truth, it was about control. The alibi was built on a lie. You slam the car door behind you, fingers trembling on the ignition key, but you don't start the engine. That smile in the photograph haunts you. It's not just proof, it's mockery. You look too calm, too involved, and you don't remember that moment at all. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You dig through the glove compartment for anything that makes this make sense. Old receipts, a half-empty lighter, the frayed edge of a map, and then something else, a USB drive. You stare at it. You've never seen it before. It's labeled in thick, permanent marker, her story. Your phone's dead. Of course it is. The dashboard clock flashes 3:33 a.m. You're miles from town, miles from sanity. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You drive to the diner off Route 7, the one that never closes. The waitress with the smoker's rasp recognizes you, but doesn't say your name. Just gestures toward the corner booth where the outlets still work. You slide the USB into your laptop. 4 folders. 1. The night it happened. 2. The missing hours, what she knew, what you forgot. Your throat closes. You click the last one. There's only one file. A video. It starts with static. Then her voice. Calm. Controlled. Familiar in a way you'd buried. She's sitting at the cabin's kitchen table. The one where you made the pact. Where Elena whispered, "No one will ever believe me." Except this time. She is telling the story. And she's looking straight into the camera. Straight into you. You always said we were protecting each other. But really, you were just protecting yourself. You said we had no choice. But I saw you delete the footage. I saw you burn the glove. And I saw what happened after she fell. She tilts her head. You weren't trying to save us. You were trying to rewrite what we did. The camera shakes. Her breathing accelerates. She told me she'd met someone who promised protection in exchange for a name. You pause the video. That's the part no one knew. Elena had met someone. And now, with this drive in your hands, the chain is unraveling. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The waitress sets down coffee in a cracked porcelain cup. Inside the saucer, a matchbook from the Ashlight Motel. You didn't tell her where you came from, but someone must have. What if you've been the suspect all along? Outside the window, headlights stop across the street. The figure steps out. You recognize the coat and the glove. They raise a phone. You watch your own face appear on their screen live. You're not watching the story anymore. You're inside it. The motel door was already open. The matchbook shakes in your hand, damp with the condensation of untouched coffee. You stare at the red inked lettering, Ashlight Motel, Room 9. No check-in, just knock. You fold the matchbook closed and pocket it, not because you want to, but because leaving it behind feels like a signature. You're not here for truth anymore. You're here because someone dragged it out of hiding, and now they're waiting. You leave a 20 under the cup and slip out the side door. Hood drawn. The headlights are still there, parked across the street. Engine silent, watching. But you don't run. You walk into the dark, steady and slow like someone who isn't guilty. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The Ashlight is 5 miles north and 2 decades past its expiration date. You pass 4 busted neon letters before the 5th flickers to life light. A joke. You pull into the gravel lot, park far from the other cars, 2 trucks and a motorcycle, and count the doors. Room 9 is at the back, shuttered windows, peeling blue paint. A plastic vacancy sign hangs sideways in the office window. like it gave up. You approach, quiet, controlled, but the doorknob is already turned. You push it open. Inside, the air is damp with mildew and lemon-scented cleaner. The curtain is drawn, the lamp is on, and a tape recorder waits on the bed like a ritual. Beside it, a glove, not black, not leather, red, silk, small, feminine. It used to be hers. You sit, cautiously, and press play. Static. Then I always wondered what it would take to make you come back here. A matchbook, a video, maybe just guilt. That's what you do best, right? Carry it until it grows legs and follows you. Her voice, not Elena's, not yours, the other one, the woman from the bridge, the one they never found, the one Elena swore didn't exist. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. I was never supposed to survive. I saw what you did, both of you, but I stayed quiet because sometimes secrets are safer than justice until someone asks the wrong question. The tape clicks, rewinds itself. Your breath catches because on the dresser across the room sits a cracked mirror. You didn't notice it until now. You look into it. You see your own face, tired, drawn, broken, but something else too. A second reflection over your shoulder, and then the tape recorder clicks again. A second tape begins to play. This one isn't a voice. It's laughter, low, familiar, and it's coming from behind you. Not the tape. You stand, too fast. The bed creaks. You whip around. The door is closed again. The glove is gone, and in its place on the pillow, a single photograph. It's the same cabin kitchen, but now there are 3 people in the frame. You, Elena, and the girl from the bridge. You stare at the photo, stomach hollowing, because the third person is smiling at you and holding your hand. It was never about the truth. It was about control. What else did Elena erase? What else did you? The photograph wasn't supposed to exist. Your fingers tremble as you flip the photograph over, hoping stupidly for a note, a date, anything. But it's blank, glossy, heavy paper, new, not aged. Someone developed this recently, which means someone's been watching. You, them, her. You don't remember the girl in the photo, not her name, not her presence, but there she is, standing between you and Elena, hand in yours, smile wide enough to fracture the air around it. You're holding her hand like you've done it before. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You sink onto the edge of the motel bed and study the cracked mirror. The reflection is still. No second figure now, but the memory lingers, like a breath held too long. Who took the picture? Why now you reach into your coat for your phone? No service. Of course, it's never there. When you need it, not the reception, not the logic. The glove is gone. You didn't imagine it. You felt the texture cold, silken, whispering secrets into your skin. But now, there's no sign it was ever there. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The tape recorder remains. You rewind the second tape with shaking fingers, this time listening closely. The laughter on it, slow, deliberate, isn't a stranger's, it's yours. Or at least, it sounds like you, just off, like someone doing an imitation with too much practice. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Control of what the story, the secret, the past. You tear the photo into halves, then quarters, then eighths. You flush them in the toilet like evidence. But you know that's useless. Whoever sent it has copies. Whoever staged this room has your past on loop. You glance back at the mirror, and now it's changed. You swear it's changed. There's a smear across the surface, finger drawn. You stand slowly, your breath caught in your chest. One word is written in the grime. Run. You don't. You walk, deliberate, out the door, into the dark. The parking lot is empty, but now your car is gone. You blink at the spot where you left it. Just dust rings and tire tracks. Then a car engine purrs to life. From behind the motel, you sprint to the corner, but you're too late. All you see are taillights fading into the blackness. There's a note tucked under a windshield wiper on the nearest truck, written in the same handwriting as the mirror smear. One line, if she remembers, you'll both burn. Who is she? The girl in the photograph. Elena. You. What if you've been the suspect all along? You walk for miles, shoes blistering, air too still. Eventually, you find a roadside diner, still open neon light, buzzing like an exposed nerve. You slide into a booth. The waitress pours coffee without asking. You don't speak. You're too busy looking at the TV above the counter. A breaking news sticker scrolls by. Another body found. Another woman. Same M.O. Same symbol. A red glove. Left behind. Only this time, it's not silk. It's leather. Yours. The one you lost months ago. Your fingerprints are on it. They name you as a person of interest. The waitress looks at you, then looks again. You okay? Hon, you nod. Mute. The TV cuts to a still image. The girl from the bridge, smiling. Not a victim, not a ghost, just alive and missing. Still, she remembers everything, except who to be afraid of. The motel owner knows too much. You return to the motel the next morning. The morning is only a rumor whispered through mist and fatigue. You don't know why you go back. Maybe you expect to find answers waiting behind room 6's flimsy door. Maybe you want to catch whoever left the note. Or maybe you're just tired of running from things you haven't faced. The office is dim, the blinds slanted like prison bars. A bell above the door tinkles as you enter. The man behind the counter doesn't look surprised to see you. His eyes are yellowed with nicotine and something older, deeper. They don't blink. You left in a hurry, he says. You nod slowly. Someone took my car. No one took anything, he says. You never had one. He gestures behind him. A clipboard with guest check-ins. Your name's not there. The room was rented under someone else's identity, an unfamiliar one. You knew, but pretended you didn't. A photo sits behind the register. The same photograph, undestroyed, whole. You swallow hard. How did you get that, you ask? He shrugs. People leave things behind. Secrets, names, motives. The air hums like something about to collapse. You glance at the room key you still have in your pocket. It's not room 6 anymore. It's labeled 4B. The numbers shimmer as you turn it in the light, as if waiting for you to catch on. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You keep a guest log, you ask. He lifts a binder from under the desk, cracks it open with the weariness of someone who's been waiting too long for this moment. Inside, pages filled with typewritten entries, but not of names, descriptions, movements, times, like surveillance notes. Your name appears once dated 3 days before you arrived. A notation beside it, do not forget. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You flip to the most recent page. A new entry. From today. It reads, he's beginning to remember. The pen is still warm. You stare at him. Who's been writing these? He smiles, but it doesn't touch his eyes. Sometimes memory keeps itself. You pocket the log page. Outside, the motel sign flickers. Stay a while until the S shorts out. Now it reads, stay a while. You walk back to room 6, slide the key into the lock. It doesn't fit. The number on the door is different now. Room 3. You knock anyway. No answer. When you turn to leave, the door creaks open behind you. Inside the room is empty, except for the glove. This one is white, and on the wall above the bed, a new message, written in ash. What you hid remembers you. What if you've been the suspect all along? You pocket the glove. The silence presses against your back like a hand. You don't remember hiding anything, but your fingers do. The way they trace the edges of the bed frame, the warped floorboard, the cold metal of the lockbox hidden beneath it. You open it. Inside, a roll of undeveloped film, a vial of something dark, a set of initials carved into wood. E.G. Elena. You don't know whether the film holds the truth or buries it deeper. You take it all anyway and close the box. As you turn to leave, you catch your reflection in the cracked mirror above the sink. It blinks, but you don't. The film can't lie, but you can. You drive without direction. Your hand white-knuckled around the undeveloped film. It sits like a curse on the passenger seat, coiled tight in its plastic canister. A sealed confession waiting to be believed or buried. The town shrinks behind you. Motel sign and cracked mirror, both vanishing in the rear view. You find an old photo lab. Yes, they still exist. Dusty, faded signs, fluorescent lighting that hums with the same uneasy frequency as your thoughts. You tell the clerk you found the roll in an attic. You smile like it's nothing. The clerk doesn't ask questions. He takes it, vanishes behind a red-lit curtain, and leaves you alone with the sound of your own pulse. 15 minutes. You count each one. While you wait, you inspect the glove again, the white one from room 3. It's child-sized, unworn, too clean to have been part of any crime, but too deliberately placed to be innocent. There's something stitched inside the wrist. You squint at the faint red thread. It wasn't hers to take. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The clerk returns with a frown that looks stitched on. These are strange. He slides the photos toward you. You hesitate, then look. The first image, the inside of a basement, dimly lit, familiar. A figure sits in a chair, hands bound, face obscured by motion blur. Second image, you, looking directly into the camera, not holding it, staring at it, your face blank, controlled, devoid of recognition. Third image, a shadow behind you, unmistakably holding the camera. You feel cold sweat bloom under your collar. Did you take these? The clerk asks. No, you whisper. You don't trust the smile creeping across your own face in the photo. You flip to the next print. It's a photo of Elena, eyes wide, mouth mid-scream, one hand raised toward the lens, as if trying to stop it. The fifth image is blank. No, not blank, black. Something was over the lens, something deliberate. A pause, then the final photo. The motel desk, the guest log open, your name circled. Red ink, same handwriting as the message on the motel wall. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You gather the photos and ask the clerk, "Can I keep the negatives?" He looks hesitant, then shrugs. "Be my guest. But I'd be careful who sees those." As you leave, you hear him mutter something behind your back. Some truths rot slower than others. You check the back of one of the photos, scribbled there. Ask the bartender about the glove. The bartender, back at the dive bar from 2 nights ago. The one where no one made eye contact. The one where someone knew your name before you said it. The glove in your pocket feels heavier now, like it remembers something it wants you to relive. You drive there. You don't feel the road. Inside the bar, the lighting is sickly amber. Same bartender, same empty stare. You sit. "I'm looking for answers." You say, "About a glove." He doesn't blink. He sets down a shot of something black and glistening. On the napkin beneath it, he's written, "You left her behind once. Don't do it again." What if you've been the suspect all along? You pick up the shot. Don't drink it. You ask, where was she taken? He looks at you, and for a brief moment, sympathy flickers behind his eyes. The cabin. He doesn't need to say which one. You've always known. The key from earlier, the one that didn't fit room 6. It fits something else, something waiting for you where the trees grow too quiet. The bartender slides something across the bar. A flashlight. "You'll need this," he says. And then, softer. "You've already seen the ending. You just didn't know it was you who wrote it." The cabin remembers more than you. The road winds like a question you never asked. Gravel spits beneath your tires as the forest leans in the trees too close. Branches scraping like claws on conscience. The sky has darkened without permission. You flick on the flashlight. The motel key rests on your thigh. The metal is warm, like it's been waiting for skin. You find the cabin by absence. No signpost, no number, just the clearing where your breath catches. The door isn't locked. It never was. You push it open and the hinges scream. Inside, dust motes hang like ash, thick and slow. You step across warped floorboards that groan as though remembering you. The air smells of mildew, pine, and something beneath that sweat. Fear, secrets. You sweep the beam across the room. Photographs line the walls. Every single one is of you. Different angles, different days, all of them candid. Surveillance shots. A life documented without consent. You recognize your shirt, your coat, the moment you dropped your coffee, the one time you cried behind your steering wheel. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Then, the photo from room 3. The motel bed. A woman's hand reaching just into frame, and pinned beneath it, the missing photograph from section 4. Elena. She's not dead. Not in this image. She's standing beside someone, but the figure next to her has their face scratched out with something violent. The paper is torn. You lean closer. Behind it, taped to the wall, is another note. If you want her to remember, you have to forget. You freeze. What did you forget? The glove, the ticking watch, the stitched message, the knife that was never yours but felt familiar in your hand. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open the back room door. It creaks like a warning. The smell hits you first, then the sound. A soft shuffle. Breathing. You shine the flashlight. And there she is, Elena, thin, pale, eyes wild with recognition and disbelief. She doesn't scream. Neither do you. She whispers, "You said you wouldn't come back." Her wrists are bound with rope, but not tightly, as if she's been tying and untying them for days. "Why are you here?" she asks. You step closer. The room swims. "Who did this to you?" you ask. She flinches. You don't remember. You shake your head. She leans forward, almost pleading. "You told me to run. You said you'd take the blame. You promised it was the only way. You don't understand." But your fingers twitch toward the photograph in your pocket. You pull it out, the one where Eleanor's screaming at the lens. She sees it, and her face crumples. "I wasn't screaming at him," she says. "I was screaming at you." A crack breaks in your chest. "You left me." "No." You whisper. She nods. "After everything we did, after what we covered up, you walked away. And now, someone else is finishing what we started." The words drag you under. You look around the cabin again, see it differently now. A safe house, a shrine, a cell. You glance at the glove again. It wasn't hers to take. It was never Elena they wanted. It was always you. Your memory fractures in pieces, and behind them, something feral stirs. Not guilt recognition. The flashlight flickers. The battery gives a final warning. Then a sound outside. Footsteps. Heavy. Measured. The front door creaks again. But this time, not from you. You put a finger to your lips. Elena nods. Quiet. You step toward the wall. Grab the nearest thing with weight, an old iron poker. You flatten against the wall, heart like a war drum in your throat. The door swings wider. A silhouette enters. They stop. They whisper your name like it's an old curse. You know that voice. It's the bartender. Only he's not a bartender. Never was. He's the one who took the photos, the one who wrote the notes, the one who watched. You came back, he says. That wasn't the plan. You raise the poker. He sees it, smiles, still pretending to be the hero. You say nothing. Behind you, Elena rises, silent as memory. The man steps forward. There's only one way this ends. He reaches inside his coat. You swing, and the lights go out. The truth buried in the floorboards. Darkness, then breath. Yours, ragged, loud. Not alone. The iron poker slips from your hand. It hits the floor like a bell tolling. The man lies still, motionless, but your heartbeat doesn't believe it. You step back. You think you hear Elena whispering your name. Or maybe it's your conscience calling from a distant, unlit hallway in your mind. Then the flashlight flickers back to life in your hand. You don't remember picking it up. The beam dances across the room like it's afraid to settle. Blood, a small pool, spreading under his shoulder. Not enough. Not yet. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You kneel beside him, and for a second, you think he's dead, until he speaks. I didn't kill her. I just cleaned it up. You freeze. Elena's footsteps behind you are slow, deliberate. She's holding something now. A small book, no. A journal, leather-bound, familiar. The same one from the safe deposit box. You snatch it, flip it open. The pages are covered in handwriting. Yours, except they're not yours now. Because the entries describe things you don't remember doing. Conversations with Elena, plans, strategies, obsessions, surveillance schedules, entries titled Control the Narrative and Redirect Suspicion. Then one. If the secret stays buried, we both walk free. You don't remember writing it, but the ink is yours, and the feeling in your stomach says it's true. It was never about solving anything. It was about surviving the fallout. You glance at the man on the floor. He's still watching you. You framed me. He breathes. You framed all of us. You shake your head, but not fast enough. He's smiling through the pain now. That's why you don't remember. You chose to forget. Elena's voice is behind you again, softer this time. He wasn't the only one you framed. You turn to her, but she doesn't meet your eyes. She looks at the floor instead, and taps it once with her foot. A hollow thud. No more secrets, she says. You hesitate, then rip up the floorboard. Inside is a box, metal, locked, but the key, the one from the motel, is already in your pocket. You slide it in. It clicks. Inside photographs, receipts, a burner phone, an old tape recorder, and beneath that, an envelope, your name on it. You open it. Inside a confession, signed by you. You read the first line. If someone finds this, it means I couldn't live with what I did. The blood drains from your face. The voice on the tape recorder clicks to life. It's you, tired, measured, empty. You confess to everything. The manipulation, the cover-up, the false evidence, the things you made Elena believe, the threats you whispered under the guise of protection. It was never about the truth. It was about control. You dropped the recorder. Elena's already walking toward the door. You said you'd take the blame, she says, almost like a lullaby. Now you have. The man on the floor groans, but doesn't rise. You follow her out into the night, the trees watching. The cabin behind you creaks one last time, like it's exhaling everything it was forced to keep. You don't speak on the drive back. She doesn't ask where you're going, and neither of you says goodbye. Back in the city, you sit on your bed, lights off, the envelope clutched like a verdict. You stare into the mirror, and for the first time you see it. The look in your own eyes, not guilt, not fear, recognition. What if you've been the suspect all along? You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Outside, the rain starts again. A single knock on your door. You don't answer, because justice didn't end at the cabin. It just got smarter